I'm Meredith Book, and this is Cooking by the Book. Coach Conley has had a long and illustrious career in college football. From 1968 to 1971, he was an offensive lineman at OSU for Coach Woody Hayes, where he won 2 national championships. From 1984 to 2004, he served 2 stints as an OSU assistant coach for head coaches Bruce, Cooper, and Tressel, where he focused on recruiting. In fact, ESPN ranked him as the #1 football recruiting coordinator in all of college football. From 2010 to 2015, he successfully tried his hand as a head coach of the Ohio Dominican football team, where in 2013 he was selected Coach of the Year in the conference. Coach Conley, thank you for joining us today. What an amazing career you've had. So, did you always know football was going to be your life's work?
No, I didn't, Meredith. As a matter of fact, I didn't really decide to start playing football until I started into high school. So I really started later than a lot of other people. But, I got the bug, got the love for it, and wanted to play at the college level after my high school career. And, of course, I did that. And then I enjoyed it so much, decided to go into high school coaching and teaching. And then later from there, advanced to the collegiate level.
Even now, you're still involved with football. So what have you been doing with NBC4?
Well, I've been doing NBC4, sports reports on Buckeye football with Jared Smalley. We do that during the football season. I also do radio with 610 WTVN during football, do Bucks Line and pre and post game, things like that. Plus in the off season, I'm involved too. I work a lot of camps, football camps around the country. I work for a group out of Cincinnati, that we do camps with NFL players in the summer. I'm still involved in recruiting in various different ways, so I just don't slow down this year round.
All right, so let's talk about what we're making today.
Yeah.
What is it and why is it important?
Well, what we're making is our pregame meal on the Saturday before our football games. Now, we normally would have this meal at the hotel wherever we were staying at because with Woody, we even stayed at hotels in Columbus. They'd be different hotels. We'd move around to different ones. That's not quite what they do today. But whether it's a home game, whether we're in town, out of town, we always had the same team meal 4 hours before the game.
So what does the meal consist of?
Okay, it's the same exact meal. And first of all, you had a filet, a steak, but a small one, only about 6 ounces, not as big as the night before, which is even bigger. But we had a filet, scrambled eggs, and we had a fruit cup, we had home fries, and we had toast. And then we had a very special thing we did with that toast. We took butter and mixed it with honey. And as we mixed that up, we put it on our toast. But then we also, a lot of players, including me, would take that same butter and honey mix and put it on top of the steak.
During the meal, did Woody give a pregame pep talk?
No, there was a rule. Nobody talked during the team meal. It was a time to concentrate. So all you heard was the forks and silverware clanging. Woody gave a talk, though, after the team meal. Once the plates were cleared out, then he gave us a good pep talk every week.
Well, let's get started making this meal.
All right, I'm ready for the first snap from scrimmage.
So first we're going to season the filet with house seasoning, and this
Okay.
has salt, pepper, and garlic powder.
This is your own special seasoning then.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Let's do it.
Believe it or not, I was not around when Woody was coach, but you can still see his presence in Ohio.
Yeah.
Why do you think
all over
that
the
is?
place. Well, I think, first of all, he was at Ohio State for so many years. I mean, he was there starting in 1951 all the way up to 1979. He was there a long time. And plus, he was a former high school coach in the state of Ohio. So everybody knows Woody because of his great reputation as a high school coach and a college coach. Meredith, I got to tell you a secret now. It's between me and you. This is a special concoction that we had as players. We use this to put on our steak and our toast. Nice soft butter. You take honey, pour it over top, and right there you go. Honey butter. Yeah.
It actually is, wow. Before we go out and start cooking, can you tell me a little bit about your book?
Yeah, this is a book that I wrote a few years back, and it's called Buckeye Bumper Crops. Now, bumper crops is like for if you've ever been out in the country in a farm, bumper crops is a real good year of crops. Well, this bumper crops is really about Ohio State football players. As a recruiting coordinator and a position coach, I was responsible for bringing in the recruits, the football players to Ohio State. And this is really stories about many of those recruits that actually we brought in to Ohio State University during the time period I was coaching there.
Tell us about some of the players you've recruited.
Well, I recruited 2 Heisman Trophy winners in Eddie George and also in Troy Smith. And Mike Vrabel, of course, a guy who's now the head coach of the Titans. He not only played for me, but I recruited him out of Akron, Ohio, Stowe Walsh Jesuit High School. And I can go on. Ben Hartsock was a great tight end that played for us. He's from Unioto High School in Ohio, and he went on to play 12 years in the NFL as a tight end. So there's a whole bunch of players in it, and we talk about many of those stories. And some of the real funny recruiting stories that go with it, like the recruiting of Eddie George and things like that. So it's a good read. Well, we got to put the steaks on, Meredith. So what do you have to put on first before you put the steaks on?
Do a little bit of oil so that it doesn't stick to the bottom.
We don't want to waste any steak. I know that.
You've won national championships as a player and as a coach. So which one did you like more?
Well, I think in coaching and in playing, you're in the moment. So I think as a player, it wouldn't take back any of those great memories about winning national championships, but also as a coach, because the joy in coaching is the joy for your players, not at the same situation.
Yeah.
So you enjoy them both at the time.
You were in the beginning parts of the Bo and Woody Wars.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, that was really a special thing between Coach Hayes and Coach Schembechler, because really they were good friends, except for that one Saturday in November. Woody was a coach at Ohio State, and Bo Schembechler actually was a coach under him. Now, Bo went on and became the head coach of Miami of Ohio, a place where Woody had been head coach of. And then Bo gets a job at Michigan. And so they were really good friends, but Woody didn't want you to know that.
Yeah.
But it's a great rivalry. And the thing that made it such a great rivalry, because a lot of the players on the Michigan team were from the state of Ohio. Woody always got the best Ohio players for the most part, but there was a few that went north because we were full up on scholarships or whatever. But that's what made it such a great rivalry.
You've played under Hayes and you've worked with Cooper, Tressel, and Bruce. So what are their different coaching styles?
Well, that's a great question, Meredith, because they are all different. But in a lot of ways, they're a lot alike, too. First of all, Coach Bruce, who I first coached for, was actually an assistant under Coach Hayes when I played, and he was my position coach. So I've known Coach Bruce for a long time. And he was a lot like Woody. He's a tough guy, believed in, winning the game physically, went up front, won on the offensive line. That's what Earl always believed. And he was just a great coach, and he was a great recruiter, just like Woody was. Then Coach Cooper, he was a little bit different because he wasn't from Ohio. And so he had to learn a little bit about how it was like in Ohio, at Ohio State. But the one thing that Coach Bruce was really good at is he hired good coaches and let them do their job. And so he was really good as an overall supervisor of the coaches. Then there was Coach Tressel. Coach Tressel actually and myself worked together under Coach Bruce in the 80s. So I knew Coach Tressel long before he became the head coach of Ohio State. And I call Coach Tressel, he was a micromanager. In other words, every part of the game, he wanted to know what was going on.
Can you tell us a little bit about your ring?
Oh, yeah, that's one of our championship rings at Ohio State. I've been fortunate because I was there so long. I was on there 17 years as an assistant coach, and of course I played for 4. So I think I've probably got about 15 or 16 rings from championships during that time. And this is one of them. Players like them big, so that's why they're big.
Are they all different, or are they all pretty much the same?
That's a great question. Every ring is different. So every time we win a championship, whoever the head coach is decides on a committee of players and coaches to get together and come up with a design.
So we made the meal. Let's give it a try.
All right, and don't forget, Meredith, to put the honey butter on your steak also.
Wow. Well, Coach, thank you for teaching us about Woody's pregame meal.
Well, thanks, Meredith, for having me. OH!
I-O! That closes the book on this episode. See you next time.